Hello, I am David Richards, a study director at the National Center for Education Statistics. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this demonstration of the new Data Lab. In this virtual poster presentation, I'll be providing a guided tour of the newly improved version of PowerStats, our online data tool. Even if you're already familiar with PowerStats, you may not know that we've recently modernized it to be more user-friendly, making it easier for you to create tables and charts and to perform logistic and linear regressions. This presentation will demonstrate the modernized tool, showing you how to create data tables, data visualizations, and regressions, how to generate estimates, and how to save and share analyses and output. This virtual poster is co-presented by my colleagues Zach Mangold at Sanametrics and Stephanie Neville at RTI, and is being presented at NCES's Stats DC conference in August 2021. The redesign and improvements made to DataLab that I'm going to show you are the results of a collaborative effort involving staff from the National Center for Education Statistics within the Institute of Education Sciences and contractor staff from Sanametrics and RTI International. DataLab is a platform of web-based tools that provide the public with access to the data collected by the National Center of Education Statistics. DataLab is for researchers, school administrators, reporters, policymakers, students, or anyone interested in education in the United States. DataLab is the primary mechanism by which we at NCES disseminate our data to you, the public, allowing you to explore our data by creating your own analyses and by searching thousands of already published tables. At this point, I want to clarify some terminology. Although DataLab and PowerStats are often used interchangeably by researchers familiar with them, DataLab refers specifically to the website where we house a variety of data tools. PowerStats is one of these tools. We've made several key changes to DataLab to improve the usability and performance of these online data tools. In order to make analyses easier, quicker, and more efficient, we updated the user interface to make it more user-friendly. Also, the different functions of what were previously provided by separate data tools have now been incorporated into PowerStats, so you can find them all in one place. So for example, our charting and trend analysis functions, which were previously available through QuickStats and TrendStats, are now available in PowerStats. So PowerStats is an interactive data analysis tool that allows users to generate statistical analyses and create data visualizations through an easy-to-use interface. PowerStats can be used to calculate basic statistics like percentage distributions, percentiles, averages, and medians. It can also be used to run linear and logistic regressions, produce correlation matrices, and conduct trend analyses. This demonstration will demonstrate the core functions of the new DataLab system, as well as how to create a percentage distribution analysis and a linear regression analysis in PowerStats. The data for most of the NCES sample-based studies covering all levels of education are available in PowerStats. PowerStats provides access to data from 98 primary, secondary, and post-secondary education datasets. So for example, the Early Childhood Longitudinal Study, Birth Cohort, and National Household Education Surveys have data related to early childhood education. The High School Longitudinal Study of 2009 has data on high school experiences and outcomes. The Baccalaureate and Beyond Longitudinal Study provides information on the employment and further education of college graduates. And the National Household Education Surveys have data on adult learners. The DataLab homepage is available at nces.ed.gov/datalab. And at this point, you may want to visit this URL on your browser so you can explore DataLab at the same time I walk you through it. You can pause this presentation at any time while you navigate through the DataLab page. So on this homepage, you'll see a navigation tray, which allows you to access key pages in DataLab. You have a login link that you can use to launch the login window and access PowerStats. You have a list of updates you can scroll through to see the latest updates made to DataLab. There's a DataLab search bar that you can use to search for datasets by keyword, or use the drop-down menus to filter datasets by population or topics. There's dataset information listed below that you can scroll through, and you can click on study names to expand the study and view more information about it. And then once you have found a study that you're interested in, you can click on this orange launch button to open it in PowerStats. Note that you have to create an account to access PowerStats. If you don't have an account, you can create one by clicking the link labeled Create an Account, shown on the top right, and then following the prompts. So accounts are used to store work and user settings. There are a series of steps for logging in. First, you click on that login link on the homepage. And then on this login page, you'll see a section where you can enter your credentials. You'll see the NCES data usage agreement on the right. And at the bottom, you'll see information, an information system warning banner. You enter your email address and password in those fields, and then click on the, you have to accept the usage agreements, and then click Login to go into PowerStats. That brings you to the PowerStats workspace. Here, you can design a table by choosing the data you want analyzed. As you select variables, the workspace will automatically update to give you a preview of what the data categories will look like in the table. So here you can select the analysis type by clicking on that drop-down menu. After you've done that, you can search for variables in the variable search menu and expand the subject list below to browse through variables by subject. Then when you have found variables that you're interested in including in your analysis, you can drag and drop them into the boxes labeled column, row, filter, or subtable over there in the workspace. The empty data table that you are seeing previewed here will automatically update as you add variables to the table. And then you also have a workspace toolbar in the top right where you have options for saving customized variables. You can download or upload analysis specifications. You can reset the workspace. And finally, you can run the analysis once you have selected your variables. Now I'll show you how to create a percentage distribution analysis. We're going to perform the analysis that we see in this table. This example analysis uses the BPS 1217 data to look at the 6-year attainment and retention rates of beginning post-secondary students at public 4-year universities, disaggregated or broken out by their sex and race/ethnicity. So these data are from the beginning post-secondary students 2012-2017 longitudinal study. We are going to go to the homepage and select that data set from the list of available data sets. You will click the launch button to open the data set in PowerStats. Once you've opened the data set in PowerStats, you are going to select an analysis type. You're going to choose the percentage distribution option from the drop-down menu on the top left. You'll see when you expand that drop-down menu that whenever you hover your mouse over an analysis type, you'll see a description of the analysis. Once you choose the analysis type, which is percentage distribution, you are going to choose variables to include in the analysis. You're going to assign them to the columns and rows of the table being previewed here. We're going to put our criterion or independent variables in the rows, and we put our outcome or dependent variables in the column. For this analysis, we want to search for the variable PRLVL6Y. Which is our variable name for attainment or level of last institution enrolled through June 2017. You're going to enter that variable name in that field there, and you're going to see that variable show up in the space below it, and you are then going to click on the matching result. When you do that, you'll see a variable options menu where you can select how to use the variable. You can view descriptive statistics, and you can see more variable metadata. In the use variable table, you click on the button labeled column. So we use this variable in the column. And then in the next screen, you'll have the option to customize variable categories. In this case, however, we're just going to leave them on their defaults, and you're going to click the orange button labeled Save to add that default variable categories as columns in the data table. After that, we're going to add row variables, which are the characteristics or groups in the table for which the outcome estimates will be generated. It's going to generate a top level, top row for the total group, but then beneath that, we're going to see breakouts, disaggregations based on subgroups that we are going to select now. And in this example, we're going to produce estimates for students based on their gender and race/ethnicity. So first, you're going to search for gender and drag the matching result to the box labeled rows. Then you're going to click the Save button to add the default variable categories as rows in the analysis. Having done that, you're going to search for race, and then you're going to drag the variable labeled race/ethnicity with multiple to the box labeled rows and click the Save button. Having done that, we've added both gender and race as our row variables. Now, we're going to add a filter variable. So frequently when we analyze data sets, you won't necessarily want to include the entire sample in your analysis. So for example, though BPS includes national data for students who began their post-secondary education in all kinds of colleges and universities, you might want to only analyze data for students who started at public four-year institutions. To do that, you can use variables to filter the data, so the analyses will only include the cases you're interested in. Oops, sorry. So you are going to search for F sector in that search window, and then you're going to drag the matching variable, which is control and level of first institution, IPED sector 2011-12, to the box labeled filters. Then a window opens up where you will click on the checkbox besides value 1, which is public four-year, and then click the Save button. So we've selected all our variables, and at this point, we're going to actually generate the estimates. We're going to run the analysis. So to do that, you're going to click on the Run button on the top right. Now, in order to make sure results of analyses represent the population, PowerStats only produces weighted analyses. In this case, the data is weighted to be representative of this BPS sample, that is, beginning post-secondary students in the 2011-12 academic year. A lot of data sets like this one have more than one weight that you can choose from. In this case, you'll see a weight selection window after you click on Run. But for this example, we're just going to use the recommended weight. So you can just click on the button labeled Use on the left side of that window. If you're a more experienced PowerStats user, a more experienced data analyst, and you have more experience with using weights, and if you want to choose a weight different from the one recommended by the system, you can choose one of those other options on the right. For data sets with only one weight, like NCES, which we're going to look at next, clicking Run will take you directly to the output of the analysis. You won't be prompted to select or confirm a weight. Here we have our completed percentage distribution. After selecting a weight, you'll go to the output page where you will see this completed data table. You'll also see additional options for viewing the estimates, or viewing the estimates and the standard errors, or for viewing estimates with confidence intervals. You can view these by expanding the green drop-down menu on the top left. Also on this window, you have a toolbar at the top right where you have options for viewing the analyses as a chart. You can change the weight used in the analyses, and you can run a t-test. Also, very critically, this is where you find options for saving, sharing, and downloading the output or specifications of the table. In other words, this is where you save your work, and you want to save your work regularly so to avoid having to redo any work. So I mentioned that in that toolbar, there is an option for including data for looking at data visualizations. To view visualizations, click on the icon that looks like a pie chart and select one of the options. So for percentage distributions like this one, you can generate pie charts, you can generate bar charts or stacked bar charts. You can also generate bar charts for averages, medians, and percents analyses when you do that kind of analysis in PowerStats. Also, you can choose between 3 different color schemes for the charts, and as well as toggle value labels on or off. So I've shown you how to create percentage distributions and how to save your work. However, you may want to do inferential statistical analyses. So for those, you can also create linear regressions or logistic regressions. And for this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create a linear regression using data from the National Postsecondary Student Aid Study. We're going to recreate these regression results shown on this slide. So the first thing you're going to do is go back to that home page and you're going to select the data set. In this case, you're selecting the National Postsecondary Student Aid Study for undergraduate students for the 2015-16 year. Once you have found that data set in the list of data sets, you're going to click the orange launch button to open it in PowerStats. So once again, you are going to select an analysis type. This time, you're going to select linear regression from that list of options in that expandable drop-down menu. Here, we are going to use tuition and fees paid as the dependent variable in the regression. In the search field, you're going to type in tuition 2 in the search variables field. And then when you find the tuition and fees paid variable, you're going to drag it to the dependent variable box. You're going to click the continuous variable button in the window that opens. In the next window, you have the option to consider 0 as a missing value. In this case, we're going to leave it unchecked. And then we are going to click the Save button to add tuition 2 as the dependent variable in this regression. Next, we need to add independent variables. So for the first independent variable, we're going to look for institutional A total, which is named INSTAMT. So type in INSTAMT in that search field. And then when you find the institutional A total variable, you're going to drag it into the independent variables box. You're going to click the continuous variable button, and then you are going to again click Save. And now we're going to add a second independent variable, and this time institutional merit only grants. So to find this variable, you are going to type INSMERIT into that search field, and then you're going to find the variable institutional merit only grants, and you're also going to drag it to the independent variables box. Just like last time, you're going to choose continuous variable, and then you're going to click on Save. Now we have our completed linear regression. When you first arrive at this output page, you'll see information about the regression we just ran, but you won't see the results themselves. To see the results of the regression and other information, you can expand the green drop-down menu in the toolbar. So for linear regressions, PowerStats will give you information about the model. You can also get estimated and standardized regression coefficients, results of hypothesis tests, measures of fit, and a correlation matrix. This concludes our presentation. We hope you make good use of our newly improved DataLab platform and PowerStats data analysis tool. If you have questions about any of these, please reach out to us. You can use the contact information on the slide. These are the staff with primary responsibility for DataLab at NCES, which include Gail Mulligan, Tracy Hunt-White, and myself. Thank you very much for attending this presentation.